that seemed like that would be a great place, again, like that fresh start. Get away from all your problems, you know what I mean? I guess in a way, and I'm not equating it to drug addiction because that's completely different, but in the way people, use drugs as a way to escape reality. Mm-hmm. So to me, sort of leaving was a way to escape reality.
Cool. And how did you have friends in Toronto, just from growing up?
Just from growing up, people, maybe me and my friends, going down to Toronto during times, or then like people coming, so
okay.
just.
So, and did you have a destination in mind in Toronto?
So I did. I initially did. I had a friend who, she had a boyfriend. Her boyfriend was a couple of years older than her.
And was she 16 too?
She was 16.
Okay, yeah.
But she lived in Toronto, but she was living with her boyfriend, who was, I think, in his 20s.
Yeah.
And I know. And so she was like, you can come stay with us, and, we can help you get in your feet. And, there's a school here, you can get a job. So I thought it was going to turn out pretty well.
Did you get on a Greyhound bus or something, or how did you get to Toronto?
I think they came down and like got me or something. Yes, I think I drove down there, and we got there and I was staying with her, and almost immediately it didn't work out. Almost probably within like a couple of days, it became very apparent that this situation was not going to work for me. And then I had to leave, but now I'm like, oh wait, where do I go?
Yeah.
Because I'd come down
like
here.
A bag of clothes?
I just had like some stuff with me. I had like a bag of stuff that I brought. I think it was like a gym bag or something. So I had stuff, but I was like, where do I go? And then I was like, well, who else do I know? So you're calling different friends. Who can you stay with? Crashing on couches until you kind of get kicked out from that situation. And then just I would be like, does anyone know any place that I could stay? Eventually, sometimes I just didn't have a place to stay. And that's when I guess I became officially homeless, so I didn't have a place to stay. And that's how I first got introduced to Covenant House.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that was the first place you went as a homeless teenager?
Yeah, as a homeless teen. So when I had nowhere to go, and someone said, well, there's a place called Covenant House. I'd never heard of it.
Right.
And they're like, it's for young people and you can stay there and they're going to feed you and everything like that. So I was like, oh, great. Because, obviously sleeping on the streets as a young female is very scary. And I had to do that a couple nights, and so that's very scary.
Yeah.
And so then, Covenant House was great because at least you had a place to stay, and they fed you. And I remember it's funny because they have their own food bank there too. So not only you get food, but then you can like take food with you. I thought it was so awesome.
And
just remember that.
Was there a kitchen where you could cook it yourself, kind of thing?
No,
or
so
if you went out to work or whatever.
So and a lot of youth that, because they wanted to help you to get established, get permanent housing, but youth who had maybe housing, who weren't living there, could still come and use this resource of the food bank, because even if they had housing, they still were financially struggling.
Yeah. Wow. And so I know a guy who actually works up the street from here, similar situation. I don't know if he lived in Covenant House as a teen, but now goes back and runs some programming there. And I've been there a couple of times, but what was the setup there? Did you share a room with someone? Did you have chores? Like, what was sort of
so when I was there, so you had shared spaces, you didn't have your own rooms, and it was really, I do remember that there was the sense of like you have to be careful with your stuff. So I remember
no lockers.
And I remember people saying like just be careful about your stuff, and that like other the other teens that were there saying like people will steal your stuff. So I remember that and thinking, oh my god, like literally like sleeping with my stuff, because I always fear not that I had that anyone would probably steal, but still.
It's an added layer of sort of anxiety.
And things like that, and then they had a lot of programming that I remember too, where they didn't want just youth coming and staying there. They were like, okay, we have classes, you can get a GED, or they have work training and different things like that. So they had a bunch of different, you had like therapists you could speak with, social workers. So they had a lot of different programming and resources within just Covenant. I mean, an amazing organization. I work with them today, and
And so did you take advantage of those things? Is that?
I did. While I was there, I did take advantage of some. I did, while I was there, but I didn't stay there, for too long. I had some issues with some other residents there.
Okay.
And so, as it is when you're young and, things like that. So I had a couple issues with people and ended up, like getting in some fights and stuff like that. So I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't want to stay there anymore, which is unfortunate because they really did have a really good program.
So from there,
Yeah.
were you going to school at the time?
So at this point, no, I'm not going to
Yeah.
school. Was trying to get back into school, and they were sort of going to help sort of facilitate that, help you get back into school and things like that. I did end up going to high school for, I think maybe like half a semester, a little bit, when I was in different transitional housing, but it was really hard because I had to work. So when you're working, trying to go to school, it's, you know what I mean? I mean like working, like full-time working right now, because you have to support yourself, and then school. So it seemed like one thing had to give. And so then I ended up having to drop out, which was something that I was, something I was distraught about. I wasn't happy about. But, I said, okay, well, I'll go back one day, I'll go back. There was always, in the back of my mind.
And so when did you go back, or what was going on?
So it was many years later.
Okay.
No.
So what were you doing before you went back? What was going on? And what about your family at this, like, your sisters or your parents? Was there any back and forth there?
Not really. So again, I was very estranged from family. I had some family that I was, I still stay in contact with. I had an aunt that lived in Toronto that I was still, very close with. That I had, like, my sister at the time was now in Toronto too. So I did have family, but I think probably a lot of, homeless youth can relate to this, is that there's a great deal of shame you have. And so, even just reaching out to people and saying, this is my situation, is hard. Because, there's shame, there's like a pride to that, right? So even though, I had people, and if I really reached out and I told them, like, this is what's going on, I'm sure they would have rallied together to come support me. But that was too hard for me at the time to even do that.
Yeah, I wondered, sometimes, I think I still have some of this in me today, but there's this balance between young people or kids wanting that independence and that sense of, I can do this kind of thing. But at the same time, maybe there's points or there's a boundary there where we're making it worse for ourselves while trying to build independence. I don't know, it's such a weird
certainly
balance, right?
Yeah, and because I work with a lot of youth now, and that's the one thing I talk about is it's it's poor decisions, and how one poor decision can lead to this event and then that, and it's never ending. And so there was, like, I look back at my life, right, because I think it's very important to reflect and take ownership of the decisions that you made. And there was obviously many things that happened to me that I had no control over, but there was poor decisions that I made that made things so much harder for me than it had to be. In hindsight, of course, it's always easy to say that when you're a teenager. But yeah, no, so I think at the time I was just hoping I could get myself situated. And I think, again, a great deal of just sort of shame, the fact that, I was in this situation, that I allowed myself to get in this situation where I'm sleeping in homeless shelters, have nowhere to stay, right? So
yeah. There's something about it, though, that whatever allowed you to sort of do that and eventually go back to school, which hopefully you'll tell us how that'll happen. Because some people don't ever sort of go back or something. What was that sort of, how did that work, or what was going on that made you sort of...
So for me, kind of being in that world, sort of the streets, as I call it, which is interesting, it was, completely different world than obviously, the one that I live in today. And then I would say really the catalyst for change for me would have been when I had my daughter. So I got pregnant, had my daughter. My daughter's father sort of, right away, kind of showed his true colors as soon as I got pregnant. And the situation became one that was very unhealthy, very toxic, abusive. I could not stay in that relationship for much longer. I knew that. I was aware of that right away. And so as soon as I could, I left the relationship. And there was just, so I just had me and my daughter. And...
Sorry, was your daughter born? You left before she was born or after she was born, or?
Oh, I left after she was born.
Okay.
So after she was born, no, I guess what I was saying, so the relationship was good at first until I got pregnant, I guess what I was trying to say. And then all of a sudden things started to change.
Right. Like after she was born or as you were pregnant?
Oh no, as soon as I got pregnant, things changed.
Cool.
Exactly. But then all of a sudden again, you're in a situation, you're responsible, you put yourself in a situation where you're pregnant, but you're with somebody who is, dangerous. But what do? Because you you're dependent on this person, you know what I mean? So then again, you're just like, you know, you kind of feel trapped, you know what I mean? And so, but I just knew that if I had to get out of the situation, was not healthy. And then after I had my daughter, after she was born, then I think that really kind of just ignited that in me, because now I had this, like, this person that I was responsible for their life. You know, and it's funny, I always say to people, you know, maybe, you know, you can kind of allow yourself to put up with a lot, but you won't allow that happen to your kids. You can take a lot of abuse, but you're like, if it's gonna, no, not my kid. You know, it's like that parental thing that comes in. And so then I was like, okay, I have to sort of get my life back on track. And then it wasn't easy. Like, I always tell people, it wasn't like I said, oh, I'm gonna get my life back on track, and then bam, here I am, you know. No. It was years and years of hardship and struggle, right, to do it, yeah.
And so so you are on your own with your daughter.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine sort of the day-to-day, moment-to-moment, just, and making decisions, or sort of choosing what the hell am I going to do, and how do you do that? And so what were some of the maybe thought process or something? Because that's, I think, not many, well, I don't know, but a lot. That's, I guess, the way that you navigated that. So some people have a hard time leaving bad relationships like that. Other people have different outcomes, I guess, than you had. So maybe I'm so always fascinated by actually, like, what was going on in your head that made you sort of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, whatever that was.
Yeah, and so I think for me, it was, I started to just create small goals. That's why I talk a lot about, like, goal setting. So I started to create small goals. The first goal was that I wanted to get my GED. That was the first thing. I had to get my GED. So how do I get my GED? So then I had to take, like, classes, because I've been out of high school for a few years now. So I had to take classes to study for the test.
So, like, you went to, like, how did you do that? Like,
there was, like, a place, I forget, some place downtown here where you go and they actually have, like, GED training. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? So you can actually get that. I don't know if they still have that, but they did. Okay. So I went, it was like this, like, after work kind of GED training thing that I went to.
Like, were you on social assistance? Were you working?
No, I was working. Jeez. Yeah, no, I was working. Yeah. And so then evening I would go.
And your daughter was in childcare or something?
Yeah. So I had, like, you know, babysitters and things. I mean, I've got to pay them. Nothing's for free.
Wow. And so not like a daycare, like a city-run daycare?
No. I mean, I think, like, during the day should have been, like, daycare, but then, like, in the evening, because, you know, daycare hours.
Right.
Yeah. So then in the evening I had, like, private, you know, childcare that I had to pay for. Wow. But yeah, no, so I did this, like, GED training, and then took the test to got my GED, and I remember how happy, you know, it's funny, like, I was really happy. I was like, oh my God, I did it. But I think doing that one thing, like, setting out to do something, following through, and then finishing it, and then, you know, achieving success, it was, like, a huge lesson for me, because it was like, okay, if you can do this, you can do anything. It's like every single task, every goal is the same thing. Okay, what do I need to do? What are the steps to do it? Follow through with it and complete it, you know? So then I was like, okay, next thing I want to do is I want to go and get a bachelor's degree. But I couldn't go in straight to university because I only had a GED. So you can't go to university with a GED. You have to, you know what I mean? Especially,
really? What, as a mature student?
You're a mature student, and so I had to go into college first. I couldn't go straight into university, I guess is what I'm trying to, so I had to go into college. I did, like, the college degree first.
Holy smokes, amazing. That's incredible. So what did you do at college then?
So college, we were living in New York at the time. Yeah. So I did an associate's in health administration.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did that, and that was scary. I remember that. That was scary because, you know,
do you have American citizenship or anything like that?
No, so my daughter's father is American, though. Okay. And so I was living out there, and we were living out there for actually a few years. Yeah. And so, but yeah, so that was just really hard because when you're doing college and you've been out of school for so long, you're just like, you know, I'm like, how do I write an essay? Like, I forgot, like, the most basic things, how to do them. Yeah. You know, but it was good. I mean, I think one thing that I always did was I humbled myself. I asked questions. Yeah. You know, if I needed help, if I needed tutoring, or you know, schools offer a lot of services, and so I'd be the first to, like, raise my hand and say I don't understand. Right. When a professor's talking about something, I'd be the first to ask for, like, additional help.
Amazing. Yeah.
You
So
know?
you mentioned that word humble or humility or that. It's such an incredibly powerful tool in life. And do you think that, so I know personally sort of in the addiction, substance abuse world, it's so hard to, most people have to be on their knees basically, and just in their own version of total despair and or to ask for help or to acknowledge whatever I'm doing isn't working. And I wonder, in your situation, like you were right up against that life. My back is against, even sort of before your daughter was born, but even after, more so probably, your back's against the wall. So you actually know clearly what the alternative is to pursuing, I guess, these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, like hitting rock bottom. And I think, they definitely hit rock bottom in that sense that, experiencing having no money, being completely broke, you're working multiple jobs, but if you don't have an education, then you're working very low paying jobs. And, being a single parent, trying to just maintain just the life basics, like keep, so you're not homeless with your kid, basically. Like, just trying to do that can be really hard. And so, for me, I think my mentality really was, like, I have no choice. Like, there was no option. There was no option of failure. So, when I was in class, I had to pass this class. Because I can't afford to repay for a class. No one's paying. I'm doing this on my own pocket. You know what I mean? So I have to pass the class. I have to do good. Like I have no choice because it's this or me and my daughter are like on the streets homeless. Like that was my life. Mm-hmm. And I guess maybe that sort of like motivates. I guess that's motivation.
That sounds pretty motivational. I mean, because I think it's so hard for people. I know personally this is a totally random example, but I have really bad diet. And it's so hard for me to change that, like, it's so hard for me to change that because the consequences of having a bad diet aren't dire.
Yeah.
Opposed
at least
to
in the short
addiction.
term. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so other people maybe that are, young people that are struggling with mental health issues or that might be homeless or whatever it is, because some people just don't make that decision, or it's hard to say that it's a decision because I think when you're in despair, it's really hard to consciously choose the alternative path. But at the same time, people do it in some ways. So I just kind of wonder, maybe when you're working, doing your thing, your groups and stuff, how that conversation happens with, I guess, the youth that you meet nowadays. Yeah, like how does that go? Or
because so when I talk to youth and we talk about life situations, what's going on, and and I start to share my story with them, I think that they're able to see, sort of identify, okay, like certain decisions they made that led to this, that led to that, and then I think by sort of giving them maybe sort of strategies, like life strategies and, different tools that they can have. So when they come to these, sort of fork in the path, kind of situations, that they can say, okay, they can go back and go, okay, you know what, this is going to cause this, maybe I should take that. I think a lot of times you just don't know. And then at least, I mean, just in my experience, the people that I've met over my life, is it just like one poor decision leads to another poor decision. And then sometimes you get so deep in it, so deep that it just seems impossible to get out. You know what I mean? And so that's the kind of thing to avoid getting to that place where, like you have a full-blown addiction or something like that is now it's like you have to really, really work to turn things around. And so I think it's kind of just sort of giving them those kind of like just strategies and that sort of like mindset now. I mean, they've already been through a lot, many of the youth, but they're still not out. Like I try to tell them, like, you guys, it's not over yet. Like, trust me.
Yeah, that's nice.
You still got a lot of work.
Right. Okay. So let's take it back. So you're in college, you're asking questions, you're working your butt off to sort of change your situation. And so, so then you went health administration?
So I did the Associates in Health Administration, which is like a diploma here, and then went on to do my undergraduate degree in Health Services Administration.
Okay. Yeah. And so, was that in Toronto?
No, that was in New York too.
That was in New York too. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And so then, from there, I guess, how long ago was that?
So I finished school 2014.
Wow.
Undergrad. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
And so since then, and So your daughter was in school in the States
Yeah.
at first?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you came, wow, amazing.
Yeah.
And so since you graduated, what have you been up to, so to speak? Or how did you get to the R.I.S.E.
Yeah.
initiative
So
and
then
what was going on?
I graduated and then moved back to Canada. So moved back here, and then I was working, so I had this degree, so I started working in the health sector, doing like as a business analyst, a lot of data stuff, technology stuff, which is really interesting, and I love it. A lot of research, so a lot of things that I was interested in. Decided to go and do my master's because it seemed fitting with what I was interested in, and as well for sort of like the career boost. Like, let me do a master's. So it's
Jesus, so you're still working.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
is it?
Finished
Working. I'm working my whole life. I've never not worked.
No kidding.
What is this?
No, it's incredible.